Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our November 16th, 2020 board meeting of the Michigan City Port Authority. First order of business is approval or correction of last meeting's minutes. Do I have any comments on approval or correction?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from last meeting.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as written, and Chad, thank you. We have a second. Any comments, further comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, no. All right, comment from the public. John, are we having anybody from insurance people today? I wasn't sure. I forgot to check the rules.
Not today, no.
Not today? Okay, that's fine. We don't have anybody from the public. Okay, we have a full slate tonight. There are a lot of little items that we're going to take care of. I've got about 7 that I want to touch base on. But the first one, before we get into with Tim on his harbor master report, the mayor late today or late Friday, I'm not sure, has come up with an executive order strongly suggesting we not have meetings or we have virtual meetings. And while our organization plus the water department plus the sanitation department has been excluded from that, I was thinking, and I've talked to Tim and Mary Ann, I personally don't want to try this virtual stuff because we're already, next year we're only going to have 4 meetings, January through April, and I think we could spread out and make quick meetings if we need to. We've had that discussion. But I'm thinking that unless there's some opposition that we avoid our next meeting, which is
The 6th, I believe.
December 7th, and just wait an extra week and have one meeting in December on December 14th. That'd be our final one of the year. The staff didn't seem to think that that would be any problem at all. So I'd like to open that up for a quick discussion, and if it's okay, we'll take a motion to approve that. Danny, I see you've got some looks on your face like you're not sure what's going
I'm trying
on.
to look around the corner here, Golf. But I see no problem with that as long as there's nothing that comes up.
Right. I presume Tim or Mary Ann and Tim, that if something comes up when we feel the need to call a meeting that would be on the 7th, on the 7th or so, we could work that out.
Well,
Any other comments from anybody?
yeah,
Bruce.
the concern I have is we still haven't gotten our insurance straightened out yet, and I don't know if
Right.
we're gonna need 1 or 2 meetings to do that. I don't know. I mean, we need to have time to look that insurance out before we okay.
We could do that, we could hand out whatever comes up, approve pending board action in January or something. I'm not sure how do you want to do that. We could also you could also pass out, you could get with
Could mail.
Charlie, find out, we could pass out something. How best do you think we want to handle that? I mean, we can get the changes that Charlie would get, have you and the staff approve or go, no go, pass them on to the board by, put a message out to all of us and try it that way.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
Okay, but I think we could also just do, they're not gonna cancel us. We would approve pending seeing that any changes to the existing contract. Joe?
I think you can do that. In all likelihood, the insurer would not cancel the policy.
Or we could, I don't know. Can we get Charlie or a representative to be at our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's have him come to our next meeting, or at least have the paperwork
Yeah.
pass out to the next meeting, and John, you can say yay or nay after talking to staff or whatever, and we'll go from there. Joe says we could approve pending board agreement, but I don't know, if that's okay with everybody else, that sounds good to me. Okay, all those in favor of canceling the next meeting? I guess I can't make a motion. I'm asking someone to make that motion.
Make a motion to cancel next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to cancel the December 7th meeting and just have the meeting on the 14th. Need a second?
Second.
Amanda, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
We'll do that on the new business, Mr. President?
Today? Zach?
No, I was gonna say the things that you've got.
Yeah, I'm just going through to see if anything needs to come up before I go with Tim. Before we go with Tim. Tim, why don't you go ahead and give the Harbor Master's report?
All right, Larson Danielson has been working on the 4, 5, and 600 dock project. Since last time, they re-poured the sidewalk leading to the 600 dock. So what we did there is raise the elevation. So you should be able to walk from the 600 dock gate to the 600 dock without getting your feet wet. That was a real low spot right there. It wasn't real practical to raise the entire sidewalk, so they did an elevated path and then it slopes down going towards the 500 and the 700, so you can easily still get up and over it with your cart. So that's in place. They have about 25 to 30% of the 400 and 500 dock stripped and redecked. And they're working on stripping on the 600 dock currently. The electricians have the wire pulled on the 4 and the 5, and they're working on the 6. They expect delivery of some of the electrical boxes and pedestals. They were expecting it today, but it didn't show up today, so I imagine tomorrow or Wednesday those will come in. They're also expecting another delivery of wood that was potentially coming today, but it didn't show up today, so it'll probably be tomorrow or Wednesday. I think they're in pretty good position. The weather last week really helped. They got a lot accomplished, so things are going pretty good there. You'll see a map. The last couple meetings we've talked about rearranging our Wi-Fi antenna configurations. So I met with the IT department and we talked over a bunch of stuff. So they laid this out on a GIS map, and so all the red dots are going to be our Wi-Fi radios. Currently they're basically out on the perimeter looking in, and we only have 8. This map has 10, and we've pulled them in. The red circle is a 50-foot diameter radius around the antenna, and the green circle is a 100-yard radius. Did I say 50 foot or 50 yards?
You said 50 feet.
Okay, well it's 50 yards. 50 yards and 100 yards. And Meraki, the company that makes the radio, claims that their radios are effective to 100 yards. Now they may go further than that, but they only claim 100. So what we tried to do is get good overlap on everything without sending a lot of signal out into the surrounding areas. Now, if you look at this, you'll see there's still kind of a hole on the 300 dock, so we may add one there. But right now, this is our current plan, and IT is going to run some fiber out the 500 dock. They've also met with Larson Danielson, so Larson Danielson's aware we want to get some fiber run in there before they get too far. And this is our goal for in the spring. We already have the radios, I already have the antenna towers. So it's just a matter of running some, well, relocating some fiber and putting them in. Now some of these are already where they go. The one on the office is already there, the one at the end of the 300 is already there. The first one on the 700 dock is already there. So we only have 7 to install, which shouldn't be too bad. So that's that.
Tim,
Yes,
are
sir.
they gonna be password protected, right?
They're
Oh, yeah.
they're not open to the public.
Right. Well, we did this summer because we were having issues with it rejecting people, and we thought it might be related to the password. But once we redo it, yeah, we're going back to the
Good.
password.
Good.
And that cuts down on stray usage.
Right.
You know, people parking around in the
Mhm.
parking lot and bogging the system down. So it helps. The way they have it fed, the internet signal that goes to the Wi-Fi is totally separate from what comes into the office. So anybody that penetrated this should not be able to get into the office through that. At least that's what IT tells me. So, all right. Currently, we're wrapping up winterizing. We've pretty much winterized the last couple boats. I think there's still 2 out here in the harbor, and I know at least one of the guys I've heard is still doing some fishing. I'm not sure if we actually get those 2 boats or if somebody else is gonna pull them out. We'll be pulling safety ladders and putting some de-icers out here in the next week or 2. Currently, we're setting up Christmas lights. There is the Snowflake Parade on December 5th at 4 p.m. It starts, I believe, at 10th Street, goes down to 4th Street, and then about a half hour after, and I'm unclear if it's a half hour after the beginning of the parade or a half hour from the end of the parade, but that's when we'll turn the lights on. So December 5th, probably around 5 o'clock, we'll be turning the lights on for the Festival of Lights. And I think that's all I have for now, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have anything for Tim? Just a couple of comments you might want to pick up on the pier. I know that column they were working on at the juncture is fixed.
Yep.
And they picked up some of that debris that was
Right.
there.
Yep. The contractor that was replacing the column took out the old one, put the new one in, and their support structure is gone, so I assume they're finished with that. I've not been out yet to look at it after they replaced it. I was out there when they were actually taking the old one out, but I don't think they had any trouble. Also, we had a pile of material back behind the yacht club, and then there was some concrete debris out on the pier from a Corps of Engineer project earlier this summer. The stuff behind the yacht club was to rebuild the end of the pier north of the lighthouse. That portion of the job got canceled. The other portion was to resurface the area where the stairs come down from the catwalk. They actually did that, and the rubble that was out there was the old concrete that they'd broken out of the way. Well, that contractor came by last week and picked up the stuff from behind the yacht club, and they picked up their debris. So that's all done and out of the way now.
Was that the end of the pier? We know that wasn't put in last year or this year because of the high water problem.
Well, that was a contributing problem.
Okay.
So they had to redesign it because the water went up so much last year. And then this year, early this year, they did some underwater video work there and became convinced that maybe the structure there wasn't stout enough to handle what they were planning on doing. So they're rethinking that. I expect they'll be back at some point to redo the end of the pier.
Okay.
They're just not going to do it the same way they had originally thought.
Okay, good. 'Cause that's a mess out there.
Yeah, and I don't know, the Corps didn't have any info on how they're going to do it, but that's still on their to-do list.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else for Tim? Pellicki, administration.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you signed the sheets there on our tab there. The last meeting, we only had we had a full house and only 2 board members signed that. Our first installments are coming in for the first payment on the slips for this year. They're coming in good. Also, I put calendars out for everybody. If you need more than that, just let me know, and we'll be glad to give them to you. And we're just winding things up now.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Mary Ann? Danny?
You had mentioned before, Mr. Bucky, the dates that the office will be shut down during the holidays.
It's the, we are gonna be closed next week, the office is the week of Thanksgiving, and then from the 16th of December till the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
And for the new board members, we do that because everybody works through the summer and that's when it's the slowest, is why we do it.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification for new people. Okay, Socrates, financial oversight, approval of the bills and budget and salary orders for next year.
All right. Well, we didn't really see any questions about the budget. This budget includes a 3% raise for our hourly salary personnel and existing seasonal personnel. In 2021, there's 27 payrolls, happens every 11 years. Anybody ever been involved in that kind of pay systems knows that's your bonus you're based with. So that's affected the payroll. This year checks would be because of January 1st, 21 payroll. You have raised the budget $151,000 due to the upswing in 2020, Marina being full. So we bring more income in, but our bills go up because we provide more services, more cleaning supplies, more electricity. So there's an offset there. Also, we have the off-duty police that we were taking care of also for the holidays, Memorial, Labor Day. We also brought up a lawn service. So it wasn't our personnel bogged down doing lawn work. They were doing more duties in the marina. We found a good service that actually shows up on Thursday consistently and has everything looking good, which I appreciate coming to the marina on Saturday and Sunday having a nice looking marina. So that was a nice plus. If we did lose any rentals, the utility expenses go down, so it offset. But seeing that's the main reason why our budget went up $151,000 is to offset our increase in income. We also need to include a budget for the capital improvement fund to be able to draw checks off of. That also has to be in place too. Because we approved that, but we have to have it in the budget, say we can write the checks, because we have to write a check for 300 and, a check for $396,071.36 to Larson Daniels on their first payment. So that's all part of this also. So $1.5 million for the extra budget for the project because we got 1.2 going for the docking. We don't have the set amount for NIPSCO yet. We're thinking anywhere from 80 to 90,000. Hopefully, that's what it will be. Then looking at 50 to 60,000 on a new key system update. That's all in this budget.
That being said, you making a motion?
I make a motion to pass the budget.
I'm sorry,
I make a motion to pass the budget.
pass the budget.
Second.
And then does that include a salary order
The 3% raise? That's in line.
across the board for everyone?
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the budget as written, and we have a second. Now we're open to questions. There were a lot of numbers that went around there, however, we have had that information, most of it. Mr. Messina?
A good report that you gave us, that was very informative. And I'm aware of the 3% for office personnel and salary personnel. And we included that into the budget. Our part-time employees, which I asked for last year for an increase, I would like to include them with maybe a 25-cent per hour increase in their salary.
Well, they were in with that 3%.
All part-time,
The
full-time?
existing, the part-time and the existing seasonal, yes.
Good, I'm in favor.
What'd you say, your
I'm in
last?
favor.
Right. Because you and I talked about 2 weeks ago on maybe some dollar amount raises or so. And I think the 3.2% equates to, for our hourly people, all of our seasonal, equates to something like a 50 cent an hour raise, roughly 3%. Okay, just want to bring that up. Okay, any other comments or questions concerning next year's budget and salary order?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think you did a very good job on that. I looked at it thoroughly, and I think you did a very nice job.
Thanks.
No,
Yeah, good help.
no questions.
Good job, thank you. I know Socrates was in here several times going over with the staff.
Mrs. Gillespie has a.
I think we need a separate motion for the 1.5 for the capital improvement fund.
Okay, let's get this one taken care of and we'll do a second one. All right, hearing no more questions on the basic budget and the salary order, and hearing none, I'll take a vote on that. All those in favor of that, the salary order and budget as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so moved. All right, let's talk about the 1.5 million of our budget for next year, and whatever you feel we need after, whatever information you need to make sure that we can write checks on that.
Yeah, I think a 1.5, what we talked about would, it's not written in stone. If something really comes up that we need more, we can go back, but I think that would put us in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need a board member to make that motion.
I make the motion, we pass.
Yep, you.
Make the motion, we pass the 1.5 budget.
Second.
And a second, all right? We good? Everyone understand what we're talking about there? All right, hearing no questions, all those in favor of accepting this motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone, on that. Yeah, this might be a good time to talk about this too, right here. This deals with money, and while I was not familiar with this until until Amanda came in, but Amanda has given us some information concerning slip rates and possible increases. And that was on my agenda, not the increases, but to discuss this with the board. Previously, I talked to Tim and Marianne, and we talked about what we felt would be necessary for next year as far as revenue increases, particularly slip rentals. And they, at that time, unless I'm mistaken, they felt that we really didn't need anything yet, even though it's been a number of years. We're going to have a good year this year. But since Amanda brought this to our attention, we all have this, I thought I'd give her an opportunity to explain what we've got here and what her idea is here.
Yeah, I asked last meeting, what was the last time we increased prices, and Tim said it was about 8 or 9 years ago. So I just went and crunched some numbers and put a file of what our prices would be if we increased it by 3% and if we increased it by 2%. This is just to show everyone what the increased revenue would be like, and since we were discussing our budget, I was seeing if we really needed it to our budget to increase the prices, but since our budget's going really good and we do have the funds in place, I don't know if it's needed this year, since we've gone over the budget now, but I just wanted to show everyone in case, the majority do think we need to increase the prices, but I'm fine with us not increasing the prices since we've gone over the budget and everything's good. But I just wanted to have this prepared in case we didn't discuss it.
And I wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to present this.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. All right. So what I'm presuming is that we're all comfortable with not raising rates for next year.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of raising the rates. I think with the 93% that we had last year, I think that has a lot to do with it. We're one of the lower rates around, as far as I knew, as far as all the marinas around the southern tip here. And I think that has a lot to do with our staff and the way they keep the place and the way we manage this Port Authority. And it also has to do with the cost of our customers that we keep here. So I'm really not in favor. If we were in financial trouble, I think that would be a good idea. And this is very nice of you to do this, Amanda.
Yeah.
But at this particular time, I'm not in favor of doing that. So I just wanted to make that be known.
It's an Excel spreadsheet?
Yep.
Would you keep it in your file?
Yep.
So we can use that? Seriously.
Absolutely.
I do a lot of Excel, so I can spot that right away.
In 2 years with the
And
church,
thank
you
you.
never know.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm not necessarily for raising it either, but have we actually looked out the other marinas and see where they're at?
We're close.
And we're close with them? I mean, that's the overall picture.
That's all right.
Don't
Tim?
refresh yourself.
Yeah, usually every year we try to get as many rates from the surrounding marinas as possible. And we're not the lowest, but we're not the highest. We try to land kind of in the middle.
I feel as far as our facility, we are one of the top, so.
We're the closest to the water, closest facility to the water, so.
We actually just do a few rate adjustments. A couple of years ago, we lowered a couple and we raised one or two. It was like a net zero for revenue for us, but we were trying to move some of the 35 and 40 foot slips a little bit, that we had a little, not excess, but we had a few more than we wanted. And so we do tweak them. So, good point. All right, any other comments on that?
Maybe I would, and I agree with Mr. Mann and what he's saying about not making the increase in the revenue that we did have this year. And I think it's a great advertising tool to be able to say we have not increased our rates for slips for X number of years. And Mrs. Pilecki, I'm sure, has that number. That's all.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gray, anything else?
Just go over the bills. Any questions on that?
Anybody,
We got a sizable bill here.
Jackie, go ahead.
Well, mostly everything's on the bills that we have. As you notice on the back page though, we have to make a payment to Larson Danielson for $396,000. Our total bill amount would be $475,322.50 total. That's why it's important to have that piece on the button in that other budget to pay.
Are you making a motion to accept that as written?
Yes.
Looking for a second. We have a second. Comments or questions concerning all three of these pages? Come on, so I can come up with a couple questions. All right, the MB Electric on the front page is for generator for the office that we decided to put in several months ago, right? 12,000. Everything else is pretty straightforward, I believe. Any other questions? Any comments? All those in favor of accepting the bills as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Give me just a second here. Moving on, Mr. Haynes, claims and insurance.
I have nothing. I will be in contact with Charlie, for
The next meeting?
the next meeting.
Yeah, have something for us to look at or approve or whatever seems appropriate.
Okay. I'm sure
Anything for John?
He said he should be ready with a quote.
Okay.
That's it.
Anybody have anything for Mr. Haynes? Okay, me, port operations, personnel, marina policy. I've got a couple things First of all, I want to talk about our legal representation. Mr. Zach Noon and I have talked, and I've asked him to, if he desires to be our representative, legal representative on the board, that his contract is only good throughout the end of this year. And I suggested to him very strongly that I would hope that he would submit some paperwork that says he wants to continue. He's been with us for at least 4 years, and he has submitted to me, and just there are a few things I want to read, but I'll give you the bottom line that he's talked about as far as money. No increases from previous several years at least, of $8,000 a year for a retainer. And then I have it, I don't see it here. And then over and above extra at $135 an hour, which is the same as it's been for quite a while. Our total legal bill for the year is in the neighborhood probably $10,000 to include the $8,000 in that area. So it's not like we have a lot of issues. But I want to talk about this just for a second. John's been with us for about 4 years. I've worked closely with him on any of the legal issues that have come up. And he's a really good person to work with. And he's easy to talk to, and people point out that there might be another way to do things on the issues that we're talking about. He's very easy to talk about those and change. I want to just talk about some of the things he put in his letter real quickly. Take a couple minutes. Bear with me. John has mentioned that some of the projects he has worked on for us, that he's drafted an internal controls policy and procedure manual, which he's going to talk about tonight as an update. Worked with the board and management here to implement a drug and a policy for drug and alcohol testing. Prior years, he's taken care of a lot of small claims matters involving people that haven't been able to pay their slip fees, etc. And we've got a net gain in those. Sometimes his fees will be in there, and the net gain we get from the judgments have always made it worth the while. But John doesn't spend a lot of time or money with those things. He's negotiated settlement agreements involving these people that have past due bills, and the proposed new slip rental agreements going from leases to license. There was a lot of discussion on that. That was quite extensive, and a variety of projects, including coordinating some property inventory, various other things here. I won't go into the rest of them, but that was just to give you an idea of some of the things we have asked him to do over the last several years that he works on. I would encourage that the board approve reissuing the contract to renewal for him. He's asking for a 2-year contract. He was presently out a 1 year, and prior to that a 3-year. But John's been a very, very effective leader, legal representative for us, and I would encourage that we approve a contract. Bruce.
You're talking about Joe, right?
What did I say?
John.
You kept calling him John.
I'm not Joe. Oh yeah, I got wrapped up talking, so yes, thank you.
That's okay.
I knew what you were talking about.
And I apologize.
That's
Danny, question, I'm open up for comments now.
No, I don't have a question, but I would recommend and probably make the proposal that we retain Mr. Zach Noon, our current attorney,
Okay,
for his request for a 2-year period.
2-year contract,
Motion.
as they stated, 8,000 retainer, about 135 an hour over and above.
Correct.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any comments?
I'd just like to say, Joe is very Joe or John, whoever it is.
Can't tell the mask.
He's very thorough in what he does. I've had a couple talks with him and stuff, and he's very thorough in what he does. Like you said, he's an easy person to work with. We appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I also say the same thing. I've worked with Joe and also Tim, going through the policy things, and very easy to listen to, very informative.
Gee, I didn't have to say all those nice things. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor of accepting a new 2-year contract for Mr. Zach Noon?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. All right, I'll save that for new business a little later. Moving on, Mr. Messina, voter communication special event.
I have nothing, I'm not talking to any other voters down there for this duration, so I really have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Anything for Danny? Any comments, questions? Mr. Manor, master planning, special projects, parks liaison.
I have nothing new at this time for master planning and special projects and park liaison. I went to the meeting, and there's really nothing to report from that that would interest us, I don't think.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Butner,
Nothing new to report.
nothing for advertising, public relations. All right. Attorney's report, Mr. Zach Noon.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, Mr. Manor had asked about the filmmaker who did some filming on Park Department property. The filmmaker did in fact film here, I guess it was near one of the lifeguard stations. It was not on Port Authority property. They have a fee schedule, as I understand it, depending on whether it's a for-profit venture or if it's a not-for-profit educational. In this case, they would have normally charged $500 for the filming, but I think they waived it in this instance, and I'm not sure why. The park board will, if a filmmaker approaches them wanting to film on property that's actually under our jurisdiction, they'll make sure that they let us know, and they'll inform the filmmaker that they need to come to this board for permission, and then this board can decide whether it wants to charge for, if it's a for-profit venture, we could probably charge for it, as does the park board, or again, if it's a not-for-profit or an educational undertaking, then perhaps we wouldn't charge and we would just accommodate them for that. On the internal controls policy report.
This is the revised, updated for the year.
Yeah, the committee finished up the interviews with management last week, and I put together a draft report which I circulated to the committee. Unfortunately, the file somehow got compromised, and I had to save it to a PDF and then bring it back into a Word and clean it all. I had hoped to be able to present it to the board today, but because of that little glitch, I resent it around to Mr. Ferguson and Mr. Childers. So if you could take a look at it, I think I've incorporated all the comments in that I've received in the current version. And so if everybody looks it over and it looks all to be in order and no more comments, then it'll be ready to be prepared or to be presented at the December 14th meeting. And at that time, I can generally discuss the findings, which I can tell you everything's working as intended. We're doing fine on that front. And then take any questions, and we can have some discussion about anything additional that we need to do. One of the things that I think Mr. Manor has been foremost in pressing this, and it's something that will be addressed in the report and going forward, and that is to work more with our employee evaluations to bring in the understanding that they've got these obligations, these duties to safeguard and protect Port Authority property, and in the event that there is a loss of property or theft or just something disappears, there are materiality thresholds, and they need to report those, not only pursuant to this policy, but pursuant to Indiana statutes. And then also to look at our other policies, the ethics policy, conflict of interest policies, and see if there are aspects of those policies that need to be upgraded or clarified a bit to incorporate in our internal controls policies and procedures as well. And that will be an ongoing process as we work through these issues.
Okay, so you're gonna present the final package that's been looked at by the board and the committee.
Yes.
You can present that to the board. Tonight, do you have, by chance, just a summary of any major suggestive changes? And if not, be sure, let's talk about those. Let's talk about those in December, not just the whole package. The whole package, I know our 3 new board members will want to look at time, but we need to get this kind of approved before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I would want some sort of a summary of what the major changes are for this year.
Well, generally, things are working as they're intended. The internal controls policy remains in place and people are adhering to it. We didn't have any new employees this year, so everyone who has been with the Port Authority for at least the past 2 years has received all of our policies. They in writing acknowledge that they've received them. They're encouraged to read them, and of course they have to abide by them.
Okay.
We don't have any new vendors, so except maybe a plumber, I think. But you know, there are no instances where we have any reason to be concerned that a new vendor or a new employee or a new system with the city is adversely affecting our internal controls. We remain very closely tied to the city controller's office for bills being paid, and what the city does is they match any check request with an invoice. So there are controls there, and multiple people are looking at our books in the sense that a check isn't going to go out unless we've approved it here, the city has approved it, ultimately this board approves it. Minor loss of property was a trailer. I think it was a 2003 trailer, which was valued at less than $500. Turned up missing from Trail Creek. Was reported to the police and reported to our insurance, but it was below our deductible, so we really didn't put a formal claim in. But we're doing well. As I explained at a meeting with management, it's not like we're receiving a couple of $1 million a year in small amounts, and most of it in cash, where there's a high risk of loss, shrinkage, as they say. Almost all of our transactions are done by check or credit card, the vast majority anyways, and there's a paper trail for that. We abide by the city's IT guidelines. Passwords are frequently changed. What is it, like every 3 months? So we don't have any hacking incidents. We are not aware of any instances where somebody has been able to compromise our system or get in. And I think most importantly, the State Board of Accounts has audited, I think it's completed its audit for 2019, and did not disclose any material issues or material losses. So we're doing what we should be doing, and we will continue to do so.
Okay.
That's good news.
Thank you. I know we normally try to take care of this by the end of February, I believe. I think we ought to shoot for April 1st goal next year, just because we're so close this year.
Get back on track, because
Get kind of back on track, but
COVID did delay a lot.
it shouldn't be too much. All right. Anything else, Joe?
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Any new business to come before the board? I have one piece of new business. Anyone else? All right. This is the time of the year we start thinking about new officers for next year. And it's at this meeting in November that I get to establish a nominating committee for the 4 officers. And then they will get back at our next meeting, which will be the 14th, I guess. 14th of December, whatever, the one meeting we have. And they will give us a recommendation of the officers for next year. Mr. Zakdu will run that election. It'll be the last thing we do at that meeting before we adjourn for the year. The people I'm nominating to be on the nominating committee is Mr. Manor to be the chairman, Mr. Messina, and Ms. Buechner. So I would appreciate that that Bruce will get together with the two of you guys and gals to do your job and get back to us, okay? We appreciate that. I have nothing else under new business. Hear nothing from anyone else. Any old business that we should be looking at? Guest recognition. No one else is here. Our next meeting is not December 7th, but December 14th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Got it. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe out there.